Speaking of the worst people to walk the earth, you guys got a visit from Aslan Rex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did.
So I was gonna say, is he like one of the worst characters, like demonstrably in D&D? But I guess he kind of has to be by definition because he's here, right?
That's a difficult question. I'd have to give that some thought.
Because like you have to be like demonstrably one of the worst monsters in existence to warrant a realm, right?
I think it really depends on what generation of the meta plot you're reading. Because some of like the 5e Ravenloft, but like some of these Dark Lords are like these are just jabronis in comparison.
I know some of them are like swords and stuff.
Versus like some of the villains in some of the other published material are like legitimately completely evil. And they never even get brought into Ravenloft. So
we need like a 6th edition meta plot where a Serac gets brought in and he gets his own dark.
I don't think he's evil. I think he's just a troll. Like,
Like, why would he? Like, at what point? I want to know at what point he woke up and decided to do what he does.
so we just kind of assume that if you're a lich, it's because you're like you're terrified of mortality and you think amassing magical power will let you live forever. I think a Serac just genuinely likes messing with heroes. And like, man, if I become a lich, I could do that forever.
Forever. uh,
Can I have a wizard that tries to become a witch in the next campaign?
That's an excellent question.
that was actually legitimately one of my character ideas for this campaign. You know, before we figured it out, it was like
I thought about
like
that one too.
like a wizard who was like because I was thinking to myself like what kind of character, like what would like someone like a Sarah be like at level 1, right? what personality defect leads, like what is the line from point A to Z, you
Right.
know?
Well, he probably started as an adventurer.
Right,
Oh, almost
probably.
certainly.
So like that was like I was gonna do the Order of Scribes wizard, the book wizard. Yeah. But
Yeah, I
anyway.
was gonna do something similar, but then I was like, oh, rogue seems easier.
I maintain that of the monsters in the monster manual, the Lich is like the one monster that no adventuring party should ever be able to defeat in a straight fight. Like it's just, it should not be possible.
You should never get a straight fight with a lich.
Exactly. Like
And if you think you did, then they got something over on you.
there's not even really a point to having a stat block because if things have gotten that far, the Lich is messed up in a way that would preclude them from becoming a Lich in the first place. But then you have like
I mean,
a Sarah.
this is like maybe like where the the 18th and 20th level characters could actually be challenged, but like no, I generally agree.
And I also think that Aslan is probably the best Lich in that they've ever published in terms of just his motivations and like in the meta plot in 5e, like he escapes, like he gets out. It's impossible to get out of Ravenloft, but he does, and now his domain is just fractured. Like he wins, Strahd sucks.
Well, like he's in the meta plot. He's not there. They don't tell you what happened to him.
That's true.
Like
Yes.
they're like there's like a like any of these things and all of these things could be true kind of situation. He got out. He didn't get out. He got split up into a bunch of other. It gets weird.
All the meta plot tells you for sure is that Darkhan in the 5th edition version does not have a Dark Lord. It's a power vacuum, and like the mists are just eating the region from inside out.
Well, that probably won't happen in this campaign.
Well, no, in this version of the meta plot, Aslan is still very strongly in power. And he came to visit you guys, which I think is an honor, honestly. Like, King rolls up, wants to hang out for a week.
He tried to run me over with his card.
That was one of his little gremlin guys. That wasn't him.
I think I would like to point out that you have explicitly told us that Evie is responsible for the people underneath her, like their actions.
Mm-hmm.
So think about what you just said.
Evie's not a lich. The rules are different.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, when you're a lich, I think you get
responsibility
to-
for thee, not for me. That's how this works here, Treble.
When he can point at something and make it explode, then I think he gets to make whatever rules he wants.
I can point at something and make it explode. I don't get to make my rule. Destil could do it even better.
Well, think about it this way. Evie is responsible for the well-being of the people in this village. She's not responsible for the well-being of the ants in this village.
Oof.
That's a really good analogy.
Oof. Also, Aslan kind of a jerk.
You all are ants, is what I'm saying, compared to Aslan
Yes,
and Rex.
We,
Okay.
we, we,
got
get,
it.
we
We
get,
got it.
the analogy, yes.
Gather.
But
Let's.
he came, he did some research. I think it was only one death. Only one. He only had to kill one person. Because
Who
somebody...
did he kill?
He killed some kid who wandered into the church.
Yeah,
He
he...
should not have gone in there.
Right. Yeah. I would like to point out to everybody, if you're unaware of the other players, I named like the last session Les Majesty. Which
I
if
get
you
it.
don't know, if you don't know what that means, it's basically a French word for like lying to a ruler, insulting them, treason, that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing.
As it happens, I had to look up that term in the course of this campaign. Not saying why, but
As
it
far
came
as I can tell, none of you committed overt treason against Azul and Rex. Which is to your credit. Because it
Yeah.
would have been really easy to do that. And you would have been completely justified in doing it.
and the Dark Powers really, really wanted me to. They
I mean-
really wanted me to.
Yeah, they sure did.
I know Jeannie committed covert treason. I think I'm the only one.
The rest of us were trying not to start an initiative roll with a level 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 thing.
That's Darkwood. Aslan is considerably more powerful than that. I don't even have a stat block for Aslan. I don't know where I would even start. I guess you
No, I don't want to fight him.
start by using the stat block for the Lich in the book. Then give him access to every spell. That seems fair.
Oh, he can't learn new spells.
He
Give him
can't,
class
but
levels.
he can't learn new spells as of his arrival in Ravenloft. But when that
He probably
happened,
already knew every spell.
yeah, he was already extremely powerful at that point. Aslan would have the access equivalent to every spell in the book for sure. And he loves Count Strahd.
Favorite guy ever.
That's it.
So you would tap your Vistani contacts to take you to deal with this new false high Aethar that is a thorn in your side.
Yes.
Crystal Tower, yes.
Yeah, he is a. Is it a crystal lighthouse or just a crystal tower? I forget what it was described as.
It's been described as both, I believe, depending on who you ask.
And point of clarification, because it might come up in this adventure. Because I asked Destil, and he was like, he thinks it was Lamortia, the Angel of Air. Is it trapped in Lamortia or Darkon, or are we not sure?
I don't think that was a settled question.
Okay,
I don't think there was any way to know for sure.
all right.
I will double check that for my own edification, though, because I know that I have that in my notes. Do I? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm lying.
Kirk Road, lie,
Never done that before.
not even once.
All right. Is there anything you guys want to accomplish in the village before setting out?
Evie was going to talk to Tenny, but I don't know if that's going to be very productive.
Traditionally, conversations with Tenny turn out to be not very productive, yes.
Well, she wants to be treated like an adult. So she wants the freedom, but there have to be some responsibilities that come with that. Now, there's one thing I had in mind. We have a budding druidess, and we have a phoenix egg. And there's two ways that can go. That could either be the coolest fucking thing that has ever happened, or there's a fire and everyone dies.
Are you putting Tenny in charge of what hatching
Well,
the phoenix egg?
I would like to cast an augury and say what is weal or woe if I were to task Tenny with protecting and raising this phoenix egg.
Weal and woe is the result.
It's like Genie's standing over you when you do this. Like, why do you even bother? Like with that, it's like
I mean, sometimes it says woe.
it always says woe, but it always says wheel too. So like what's the point?
Okay, so I think on that note, what I would like for Tenny to do is to ask her friends, the birds, what they think we should do with it. Because I think they'll know the best thing to do.
You're gonna go advertise to birds that we have a phoenix egg? That
I don't
seems
think
like
we should tell anybody.
When speaking with Tenny on the subject of things in nature, things that animals might do or might know, or there's a sensation with her that you probably have not experienced before. This sensation of when Tenny knows more than you on the subject, she has very, very little patience to explain things. And so when you suggest, like, hey, maybe you should ask the birds what to do with this magic phoenix egg, her response is like, why would birds know anything about what to do with a phoenix egg? Do you think all birds are the same? Yeah, like,
I was using birds as a metaphor. I know who she's actually been talking to.
well, she's been talking to birds. And other critters in the forest, and insects, and maybe a few particularly chatty fungus as well.
Yeah, I feel like Victor just like randomly asked Tenny what the various animals have to say during the day. This is like something he normally does.
We do probably, before we go anywhere, need to decide what we are going to do with the phoenix egg.
So where is it right now? Refresh my memory. You guys had like stone shaped it into an inaccessible vault.
The super happy fun dungeon is completely sealed off via stone shape. In the center of that, there is a inwardly focused magical circle triggered on, I believe, elementals, and that is where the egg is.
I mean, I'm open to suggestions about what to do with it.
On the subject of what animals in the forest have to say, since Victor asked, nothing of particular interest to you, but lots of things that are of particular interest to squirrels and rodents and mites and other creatures. It's just animals have a very different priority set than even the lowliest of people.
So one thing Victor would actually want Tenny to keep a listen for is if any of the animals start talking about the landscape changing or new things suddenly appearing where they weren't, sudden food shortages.
Make me a nature check, Victor. Intelligence, nature.
Tip-sided die here.
Don't worry, I'll have a new table soon. I'll get rid of all these extraneous dice that are just...
Is this a thing I can give him a +5 on?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Then take a +5
Okay.
with my flash of genius. Unless you're having this conversation where Genie's not there.
I imagine this is stuff like Victor would talk about on a fairly regular basis. That'd be a 16 with your +5.
Okay. Animals don't make particularly good scouts or informants because of their different priority set. For example, an animal wouldn't... I mean, the people here have a hard time noticing when the landscape changes or when villages pop up out of nowhere. And animals aren't even looking for that sort of thing. Tenny lacks the social acumen to describe that to you in exactly those kinds of words, but that's the sense that you get from her description. Her actual description is much more short and frustrated. Like how smart do you think animals are? Like, they're beautiful and they have their lives and it's endlessly interesting, this interconnected web of life that surrounds all of us in nature, but like you're trying to apply a level of intelligence that they just don't possess. You're never going to be able to ask a squirrel anything about is the landscape changing and get an answer that's even partway coherent. At best, you might learn where its nuts are hidden.
All right, so I would actually like to cast Commune and ask Air some questions. So I've got questions about the nature of the Phoenix egg. Is there anything else people need divine clarification on? These are yes and no questions.
So, Genie is going to bring up the possibility that, once again, that's not air, and you're speaking to,
Genie,
I
Genie, I love you, but I do think this place is getting to you, and you're getting a bit paranoid.
I don't think the person he's talking to is Aslan, if that's what you mean.
it's possible.
I think Aslan is the top of the hierarchy here. There's something above him. Evie doesn't know what to call it.
Ekon, give me a religion check.
You got it.
Intelligence, religion.
Hey, can I give him a +5 on this?
Yeah.
Okay, take +5.
So that's 24.
So Genie is concerned that the person you're praying to, or the entity that you're praying to, is not your god. And Evie points out, in fact, it might actually be dangerous because what if it's Aslan?
I said it's not Aslan.
Well, I said that, but yeah, same thing.
Ekon, you feel that you can be as certain as possible that this entity is not Aslan, if only because this entity even if it's not air, it grants you miraculous power. And Aslan would never share power.
Okay.
I mean, Genie will accept that explanation, and then she'll tell you that she trusts you.
Victor still thinks.
So I don't need all the questions for
So ask
what
up to,
I want to ask Air about the Phoenix egg. So if
I-
anyone has anything else.
I have a question that might.
I have a
pertinent.
question.
Okay.
Evie, what's your question? Does everybody does anybody else have any questions? Because we can decide which one's like the best questions to ask.
Mine is going to be relevant to where we're going.
Mine is as well. My question is basically, are you the same entity that is giving? Are you also giving power to Chrism and his followers?
My question is, did Aslan Rex order Chrisen to either submit to Ekon Veritas or destroy him?
Yeah, I vote with Genie's question. 'Cause I think the answer to Evie's is pretty obvious.
I don't think he's interacted with him necessarily.
Well, they know something about him because remember, what's her name? The lady that we talked to her skull.
Yeah, I think we are dancing.
I like. Say here. I like.
I think Genie's question is a lot more useful.
Well, we can actually get the answer to Evie's question from Chrism.
Well, the answer to that question influences how we approach Chrisen. Because if Aslan is behind all this, then I don't think killing him is the right thing to do.
Yeah, but if this guy's the same person that's giving all the power to Christian, or if he's not, that's a lot more useful to figuring out the whole area.
What does that affect at all? How can we make any use of that information?
I think I don't know. I feel like we're past the point.
Yeah, I think asking if Aslan has made the same offer to Chrism is the more useful of those two questions.
If Aslan is making the two of us fight each other, then let's not do what that asshole wants.
I still think I want to fight with Chrism, actually.
Nah.
Yeah, even if the answer is yes, you think that's gonna stop Christian from doing anything?
Yeah,
We
I
might-
kind of. Yeah,
I like
think
Evie's
I
new
know
moral
that.
compass. Instead of having good versus evil, now it's just Aslan versus not Aslan.
No, that's where Evie is going at this point. It's everyone versus Aslan. And you guys have been berating me for months. Oh, all Evie does is make enemies. Now I'm saying we shouldn't make an enemy with this person that Aslan's making us
No.
fight. And
No. That's Victor. You cannot conflate what Victor says with the rest of the party.
I also want to just point out here, when you say make an enemy, this is the person who sent a phoenix to burn our town to the ground.
yeah, if
And has
Aslan made
multiple
him,
attempts to assassinate us and parts of our family.
Yeah,
Yes,
Victor
but
doesn't
if-
like Christian anymore.
if Aslan made him do that, then I am willing to overlook those things.
Well, Aslan didn't make him do anything. He did it of his own free will.
I think Aslan makes a lot of people do really terrible things. I think he made Zachiel Dantes do some stuff to us too.
So I think that Jeannie's question is a more useful one because if it can convince Ekon that maybe this person he's talking to is an heir, that might be a little more useful.
Well, like I just was wondering because they just outright summoned a demon, right? So
Yeah,
like,
they would do that.
like are they? Because if the answer to that question is yes, then like that might lean towards that it's maybe Ekon's more of a warlock than a cleric kind of situation. like,
Well, Ekon, pick which questions you want to ask.
Okay. Anyone have anything else they want to suggest, or
trying to
we
think.
good here?
I'm trying to think of a way to word the question.
Victor has
Edmont.
questions that are not useful. Victor just wants to know whether this time you're going to be okay.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
The answer to that question is always depends on what timeline you're talking about.
Can I? Sorry. I was trying to make some noise here because. I'm sorry. Just
What's your question?
what I was saying is I'm trying to come up with how to word the question because I'm having trouble forming words right now, and Edmont is concerned about the situation developing with the Keltostravi.
What situation? They're fine.
What is the like? Can you can you explain what you're worried about? Even if you can't word it into a question.
What is there like? Basically, I don't want the situation with them to be a ticking time bomb that gets neglected and suddenly it explodes in our faces because we haven't had the opportunity to have face time with it to fix it.
I think you've been pretty on top of it, honestly. I don't think there's anything going on there that you're not abreast of.
Yeah.
You seem like you know what's with the Keltostravi. I don't think they're scheming behind your back on anything. If something was wrong, you would know.
I feel like, yeah, I kind of feel that way, same way McDohl. I feel like you've got the Keltostravi situation under hand and under paw.
That's racist.
Because, like, I feel like the way we left it all last time is about as positive as a result as we were going to get. Specifically,
I think the Keltostravi are fine, at least for now. If something comes up later, we can address it then.
But they still need mates at some point, or they are going to turn on
like
us.
the mates thing is something that's a long-term project. That's not something
that's
we
not
can
something
do.
we're doing now.
Oh,
Alright,
there's-
so we're good?
Yeah, I didn't want to get blindsided by that.
Okay.
It's still.
Oh, Lord Air. So Ekon will gather everyone in the we have like a private sanctuary in the manor, right?
Yeah.
He will burn some incense. Oh, Lord Air, thank you for granting me this wisdom. If the creature in the egg is allowed to hatch, will it still be loyal to its previous masters?
The creature in the egg has no master.
If the creature in the egg is allowed to hatch, is it possible to become an ally for us?
Again, the creature in the egg has no master.
And is the egg secure? Should we leave this village for a month with the current wardings I have in place? Will it cause damage to the town?
The egg is safe where it is for now. Although there are some... it's left vague under what circumstances it could be made to hatch.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is yes or no, and then if those are misleading, I get extra information, so that's completely fine. We could try a legend lore later, but that actually costs resources, so...
Okay.
That's enough for me to be willing to leave this in the Giggle Dungeon and say we can go deal with it after we deal with Chrism.
That's good.
Okay, so here's my thought with the Kristen situation. Kristen helped us once. I think he could be made to help us again. The man who came to us the night Brennan fell and said Endeline was going too far.
Do you not remember the conversation we had with him when he left? He says he regretted doing that, and he's being punished by air, and this is our punishment, and he will kill us the next time he sees us. That was the exact conversation we had.
I would rather try to convince him to fight Aslan with us.
I mean, we could try to talk him down, but like, have you ever won an argument against? And I'll point at Ekon, and be like, except so it'd be like arguing with Ekon, except evil.
I love that
Con.
description.
Evie, I'm all for making friends, but I don't think that's going to happen with this guy.
Okay, a couple weeks ago, I agree. I would have absolutely just murdered that guy without thinking about it, but the situation has changed.
No, I'm okay with trying to talk him down, but
The fact that one of his followers came here and tried to make peace with us makes me think that we should at least try to do the same with them.
Did they try to make peace with us? Is that how you're describing that situation?
Well, he came here and yelled at us for being violent.
No, he came here and said that we need to go his way or the highway.
yeah.
He just wasn't
I
going
mean,
to
they came here, summoned a demon inside my church, threw a firebird at our town, and tried to kill us all with fireballs, including, your uncle or your brother.
And
Your niece.
yeah, I was say like our sister sleeps in that house, although she wasn't there, and then our niece sleeps in that house, and she was there.
God, I can't win with these people.
Victor also sleeps in the house, but that's a wash.
I will say I've seen like 50 different characters across all the various 5e I've played. I don't think I've ever seen a character exemplify their flaw as much as Evie does. It is remarkable.
Well, you had you've never seen a character exemplify their personality as much as Adrix, 110%.
I'm having trouble figuring out if I should feel insulted or not.
I mean, Evie's flaw is no one understands.
And they don't.
And you can never make these people understand.
No. They want whatever I don't want. When I kill things, they say, you shouldn't have killed everybody, you shouldn't be me. When I try to make peace, oh, you should have just killed them.
Saul doesn't know as we have meetings after he leaves the Discord call. That's not true, Saul. I'm joking.
Evie, your next title is going to be Ever Wrong.
No, that's just wrong. I don't think Evie's actually been wrong about anything this whole game.
And again, exemplifies your flaw right there.
That's a little bit of megalomania right there. Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of megalomania never hurt nobody. So any other preparations you want to do before your Vistani contacts come to whisk you off to Heidenglost?
I don't think I have anything that I need.
Basic restocking stuff, I guess.
Victor,
Yeah.
you receive word that a relatively tiny Vardo drawn by an ox cart. You've never met these people before. You know them only by reputation for their name. The Zale triplets are the ones who are going to be escorting you to Heidenglost. There are, as your title, there are 3 of them. And what you have heard is that one of them is a fortune teller who refuses to give readings with the Taraka, and instead she sings songs about how the subject of her reading is going to die.
Cool.
Okay, so
We're having songs.
Jeannie, Jeannie's already died, right? So I want to hear what she says.
So this particular Vardo has never traveled through your lands before. They've never paid call at Silverbow, and you haven't come across them in your travels. But this particular death songstress, her reputation is known, especially amongst the Vistani. You have heard probably some rumors of other villages out on the outskirts. This is a particular family that is known to not be welcome in a lot of towns and villages and a lot of the other duchies throughout Darkon, for the specific reason that the songs that she brings are intensely unsettling.
I imagine
We
so, yeah.
make her welcome. I don't ask you to do much, but you will make her welcome.
Very early in the morning, under a light summer drizzle, you receive word in your manor. One of your servants brings you word that the Zale triplets have arrived at the gates. I imagine you were always brought word when the Vistani enter your lands, because this is kind of a case-by-case basis thing. I'm assuming that you don't have like standing orders whether this particular family is allowed into the gates while this other one is not. This is always a situation where you're going to want to appraise yourself of who these people are before you make that call. Is that correct?
Seems like an EV question. Victor would just let him in, but he doesn't run the town.
Well, it's an Evie and Victor question, because Evie's in charge, but Victor is the one who has done the most dealing with the Vistani.
I mean, Victor would encourage that the Vistani be allowed in because the Vistani are good people, generally speaking.
If that's the case, then yeah, you get word that the Zale triplets have arrived and have put themselves up in, well, not the public house. The public house burned down.
So if Victor knew that these people were coming to escort, he would have put out instructions to have them come to the keep whenever they got there.
Okay,
Our
then yeah,
keep also burnt down.
their Vardo is in they've brought their ox cart across the new bridge that you built, and you could look out the front window of the manor and see them out in the courtyard. Well, the Vardo and the two oxen being tended to by a man, a Vistana, who could only be described as half a giant. It might just be a trick of the light this early in the morning or the perspective, but if this man's not 8 feet tall, your name isn't Vincent Valentine.
Is his name Andre?
Well, my name's not Vincent Valentine, it's Vincent Veritas.
No, it's not.
Yeah, Victor will go out and greet them and let other people know that they have arrived.
Okay. Is anybody going down with Victor, or is he going alone?
Maybe you'll go.
I think Jeannie's probably like doing last minute direction of work before we leave with her engineer corps to repair the town.
Okay.
Get this bridge fixed.
Yeah, I got a few chores I got to do before we leave, but give me a minute to get them all lined up.
Okay.
Edmont is painting the picture of the Vardo in the courtyard from the balcony above it.
Okay. Curly-haired Vistana, wearing hunting leathers, emerges from the back of the Vardo as the curtain splits open. One thing you see is that the cart itself, it's not as colorful or ostentatious as many Vistani carts will be. Pinned with nails all along the wood, along the side of the cart, are Taraka cards from all different decks, all different styles of artwork. Some very, very old and ragged, torn. Some that look much newer. But a couple dozen of them, at least. And all of them are the death card.
Victor will comment on how he likes the decorations and introduce himself and the Duchess.
The cheerful Vistana introduces herself as Yanoro. Her siblings are Abela, who is in the cart asleep. She was the one that you've heard stories about, that sings about your death. And her brother Lel, the shy giant who is ducking around the back of the cart now, pretending like he's tending to the oxen when really he's just trying to avoid conversation.
So they're triplets, but they're not identical triplets.
Yanoro and Lel don't look like each other at all. Lel has fairer skin and hair. You haven't I mean, you haven't heard Lel speak, but
That's just a title they have. They don't appear to actually be triplets.
do you ask?
No.
I mean, there's family you choose, and then there's family you're born with.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Vistani.
I think the Vistani choose you.
Yeah, so Victor will handle the niceties and the introductions and all the general Vistani cultural stuff that goes with that.
Okay.
And he will invite them to rest in the keep if they need, inform them that the others are preparing to leave, and ask them what their timetables are like. When do they want to go?
They're on your timetable as far as they're concerned. They've been paid up, so it's going to be a somewhat difficult journey through the mists, but it's a journey that they've traveled many times. You're in good hands.
And does Abaya want to try and do some songs before they leave?
Well, she's
Does she
asleep
want a
right
day?
now in the back of the cart.
Yeah, I mean, when she wakes up, like they want a day or two to go do some business, try and make some money around town, or are they willing to go kind of whatever?
Did you make that offer to Eunora?
Yeah.
Eunora brightens up, and you think you detect a hint of mischievousness in her grin. Yeah, she tells you that that would suit them just fine. She tips her hat and bows low, says that she and her siblings will avail themselves of your hospitality.
Victor will tell them the local rules, just so they're aware.
Which are what?
Evie, no stealing, no killing. Evie, does the duchy have rules?
Yeah.
You want
We
to
have-
tell them what the local laws are?
This is your interaction.
Yeah, but I don't know what the laws that you put in place are.
Victor doesn't
Don't steal and
actually-
don't kill.
Doesn't actually know.
He doesn't actually know. Well, I assume they're pretty similar laws to what you would see in any other town. No killing, no stealing sounds like a good start. I'll just tell them I trust that they understand the expectations.
Eunora tells you that she and her sister are very good at understanding expectations.
Victor will give her a knowing nod and say, "Stay out of trouble."
So when are you actually planning to depart?
I don't know. When are you guys going to be ready?
So, all right. I
Next
need
morning sounds
about.
good.
How long has it been since since we had this location in mind? Total. We've had like the time that Aslan's been here, right?
Yeah, he was here
that's
for
about 2 weeks.
2 weeks or so.
Okay. Is it all right if I say that I was spending some of that 2 weeks doing some downtime actions to craft some spell components? Like, because I don't think I took any too many combat actions or anything like that.
Yeah, that's probably appropriate. Like
Okay.
tending your incense or whatever.
Yeah, growing incense and doing gem cutting to create glass prisms for my divination spells.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does anyone mind if I mark off 150 gold pieces to actually, I'm having the cost by crafting them myself, but
I don't care.
then the main thing Ekon needs is from the woman who summoned the demon who we buried. Do we have a possession, like a holy symbol or anything like that Ekon confiscated?
We probably have her robes.
Yeah, her robes and her boots, and
Okay.
maybe a spell focus similar
Yeah,
in
spell
style.
focus is probably perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Ekon will just make sure that he has that on hand, and we'll have spent most of the time in preparation, getting spell components together then.
Okay. So yeah, Victor turns the Vistani triplets out on your village.
I'm sure there will be no consequences to this whatsoever.
Now, it's at some point Victor's going to ask for a death song whenever she's awake and doing her thing.
Well, while you guys are sitting to breakfast that morning, one of the servants bursts into the room. There's been a killing.
What?
Already.
Didn't even make it through breakfast.
Evie heads out immediately.
Calmly
come on.
pushes his
You just
chair
go.
away, stands up, and groaning goes out.
Going out into the village, out into, I guess we're calling this the village square here in the middle, in front of the, like you've got this big commons area in front of the church. A large crowd, angrily shouting and jeering, that parts as you all approach. Are all 5 of you approaching at once?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Some of Evie's knights are keeping things orderly. In the center of the village square, you see a Bela, a thin Vistana woman, wearing, again, very muted colors and clothes, much more than you've become accustomed to meeting the Vistani. Whites, a lot of whites and grays. And she's sitting at a small stool, and cradled in her lap, she's holding a guitar. And
Is she alive?
oh yeah, she's alive.
Okay.
And her sister is standing next to her, wearing her leathers, looking aloof at the situation. The dead man bleeding out on the ground in front of him. And the knights are restraining the killer, another man who apparently has drawn a dagger and stabbed him here in front of God and everyone.
What the smurf?
Yeah, the killer apparently paid a few coppers to Abela to hear a death song, and she sang him a song about how this other man who had been taking his wife was going to kill him so he could have her for himself. And he decided the best way to deal with this was to stab him to death.
Right here in the open.
The level of anger on this man's face is... he's being wrestled down by 2 of the knights, and he's continuously trying to break free of their grip.
Victor is gonna, like, slink around the crowd and try to find out if the guy actually was sleeping with his wife.
There'd be no way to settle that at this moment. Things are a little too chaotic.
Okay, but there's no real question as to what happened. This man killed this other man. Everyone saw it happen.
Yeah, everybody here.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Does this man is he got under the influence of any spells?
Not that you can tell.
Okay.
The main crux of the argument, where the crowd seems to be split, is one half of the crowd is shouting down this criminal killer needs to be brought to justice under the justice of air, which they still don't seem to understand very well, much to your chagrin. The other half of the crowd is blaming the Vistana. If she had not sang the song, if she had sang any other song, there would have been no need for violence.
So Victor's gonna try to calm down the crowd yelling at the Vistana.
Well,
Because
the 2 halves of the crowd are shouting down each other. The Vistana is kind of sitting quietly in the middle of it. She has her sister behind her on one side, and one of the knights is standing to hand as well to make sure that they're getting control of the scene.
Jeannie turns around and looks at Evie and says, "When were we planning?
What?
When were we planning on leaving?"
Okay, Evie just holds up her hand for both sides to be silent.
Okay.
I guess if Victor can't talk to the crowd, I need to go talk to the Vistana and make sure they're okay.
So yeah, Victor, you shoulder your way in, and they seem relatively calm. Victor, what's your passive perception?
20.
A 20? Then you can tell Yonoro is leaning with most of her weight on her back foot. And she's kind of, like I said, standing aloof looking at the scene. But you can see that her thumb is resting on the hilt of her blade underneath her cloak in a way that looks very nonchalant. It looks just very casual. But you didn't even know she had a sword until you looked very, very closely. And you're certain that none of the knights in the area have noticed it.
Victor will lean in and whisper to her to relax a little bit. We're not going anywhere, hurt you.
So yeah, Evie, you get control of the situation. I mean, just your presence, the highborn marching down from the banner.
All right, I ordered that this murderer be put in the dungeon to be put on trial at a later date.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be much question of that outcome. And I'm also going to suggest that there be no more songs today.
And at that, Yonoro leans down and snaps up the bag of coins sitting next to her sister's chair. As the crowd... I mean, half of the crowd doesn't like this edict. Half of the crowd thinks that you should drag her away and lock her up as well.
You don't always.
It's not a
get
crime to tell the
what
truth.
you want.
I don't see any cause to blame her. I'm going to tell her to stop singing.
Victor.
Yeah.
Make me a wisdom check.
Just a straight wisdom check.
Straight wisdom. How wise are you?
Well, I was really wise, but now I'm only a 7 wise.
Okay. Then yeah, as you kind of force the crowd to disperse when they realize that once again, House Veritas is siding with the Vistani, even though it's blatantly obvious to everybody around that they've woven their witchcraft songs and now this man is dead because of it. Yonoro gives a shrill whistle. Lel appears from the shadows or bushes or whatever. You didn't even notice him there as he was standing quietly off to the side. He steps forward, picks up the table underneath one arm and a bailiff's chair underneath the other. And the three of them begin making their way back to the ox cart, which is still parked in front of your manor. Other people, I guess you would have a village undertaker at this point whose job is to drag the corpse away.
Do we have that many corpses?
Now, there are deaths in the village, not many murders. This might be the first actual murder
No,
since
no.
Tech Tech.
Second.
No. Goat boy.
Yeah, the first one since Tech Tech.
Let him finish the thought.
Someone tried to murder Lugrin. We stopped that one.
That didn't
Those
happen
are
here,
Here,
though.
though.
Your breakfast is getting
And,
cold.
So Ekon will lean over to Evie and say softly, "So look, I'm planning to be gone for at least a month. Do you really think that's a reasonable amount of time to leave this entire matter unresolved? Should we postpone departure till tomorrow so we can have a trial?"
I mean, the Vistani are coming with us. I'm not really concerned that there's going to be trouble while we're gone.
You're not concerned that leaving a man that half the village thinks should be free and half the village thinks should be dead, locked up in our dungeon for a month while we're not here, is going to cause problems.
If you can do the trial now, go for it.
If you
I
have,
don't think-
you can cast Zone of Truth on command, right? I don't have it prepared for today. I wasn't planning to
Yeah,
interrogate
I can
anyone
cast it.
on
I can
the
cast
road.
it whenever. I don't think
If you
there's
can do
much
the
to
Zone of
interrogate.
Truth, I can do the rest of the trial today.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I can do it, but I think we have 100 people who saw what happened. So it's a formality.
It is. It's not a formality. It's following the law.
Okay. Sure, I will cast a spell for you if you want.
So you have
Alright,
a man
let's-
taken down to your dungeons?
It sounds like Ekon wants to just have him hung or banished.
No, I mean, yeah, we have sometime like this evening. Like, we need to actually get everything in order to have a proper trial.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Go ahead.
So Victor's gonna go talk to the wife if this is gonna be like to the evening thing.
So, Victor, you're going to go out and do some actual investigation.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and give me a charisma investigation check.
It's gonna be a 22.
Victor, exacerbating the situation is that the woman is heavy with child and is completely and utterly distraught by the events of the morning. She obviously completely denies that there is an affair, and you don't see any actual evidence one way or the other. Wait a few months for the baby to be born, and maybe you'll have some evidence. But
Victor will inform her that we could always Zone of Truth and have air you know.
Victor,
tell
you're
us
doing
what
the
really
thing
happened.
again.
What you learned from her is that, or what she tells you, whether you believe her or not is up to you, but that her husband is naturally known to be a violent and jealous man. So it wasn't a complete shock that he would kill a man out of jealousy.
Is she happy that he's dead?
No,
Or that
she's-
her husband's getting. Is she happy that the one guy is dead, or that her husband has been caught for it?
Safe to say that she's not happy about anything right now. This is an extremely traumatic day for her. For the record, though, having heard the story the way she did, she blames the Vistana. Ekon and Evie, taking the man in to cast Zone of Truth.
I think we're gonna cast that as part of the trial. I think before then we're just gonna rely on skills to try and determine exactly what. I mean, I don't think it doesn't sound like the facts are all in question, but I would like to just talk to him for a bit and use investigate to see or insight to see if his version of the story matches what we've heard.
Yeah, like, does Victor have no way to tell if this woman's actually telling the truth, or she just lets you destroy?
It's up to you to decide if you want to believe her or not. She denies that there was an affair. The man, when you interrogate him, insists that there must have been one. Otherwise, how would the Vistani have known about it?
Victor will talk to the Vistani later, then.
So yeah, the killer as well also blames the Vistani. But nobody seems to dispute any of the facts. He's the one who drew a dagger. He's the one who stabbed the man in the street. He's the one who originally paid for the song. But he insisted if he hadn't done it, the other man would have killed him instead. That's what the song was about. He had heard portent of his own death. Any man has a right to act in defense when his own death is being foretold, does he not?
So what was the situation like? Do I know like the time frame under which he was going to be killed, or in this song?
No. There was no time frame given. It was a very poetic song. Beautiful, too, from reports. But it went down very, very quickly. Victor told, at sunup, Victor told the Vistani, yeah, you guys can go out and sing if you'd like. Halfway through your breakfast, this had already happened.
I am going to go with the idea that I think Ekon's opinion on this is going to come to the fact that you can't actually use divination to act in self-defense for an event that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, this is. I have no idea if there's precedent in law for this.
Yeah, Ekon has seen Minority Report.
If you can kill somebody who might kill you, then we should just go commit genocide if that's the way we're gonna do it. Because everybody's trying to kill us.
Yeah, if he had concerns in his life, he should have come to us.
I feel like the peasantry of Darkon would be on board with that, Victor. Like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. We don't like the Vistani; they could kill us. Let's murder them all.
For the rest of the day, two of Evie's men-at-arms stand guard at the bridge to ensure that none of the villagers attempt to enter the manor grounds and offer reprisal to the Vistani. But also, to their credit, the villagers, once you've made it clear what the law of the land is going to be, doesn't seem to have been any attempts in that way. There are murmurings from out in the town. Several other people had paid for songs that morning and heard things that were unsettling. Somebody's going to be dragged away by monsters out of the forests. Somebody's going to be claimed by the fires when the bird of the false god returns. There are a couple different people who have gotten... Nobody got a song that was just like, you know what? You're going to die at 85 after having lived a long and happy life, surrounded by your children.
No one else committed murder over hearing this fate.
Correct, but there is some anxiety being seeded amongst the populace.
Wait, let's go back. Let's go back and say it. You said when the bird of the false god returns, someone's gonna die. Maybe we should focus on that one.
Aaron already said it'll be fine until we get back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, brass tacks. The song that she sang to this guy did not come true because someone else killed him.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Like these aren't actual prophecies, at least not immutable prophecies.
So I mean, Evie, here, let's just discuss this before we have the trial. Ekon's opinion is that since this seems to have been more of a crime of passion and not premeditated, that banishment is probably the appropriate punishment, but he could be swayed.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, if all the
quicker and
facts
easier
play
to
out the
defend
way that
them.
we expect them to at the trial, I expect we have him escorted to the edge of the realm in the mists and sent on his way.
Okay. Let me just make a note of that real quick.
Actually, this is a guy who has a pregnant wife.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do to soften that?
Yeah, we can give the wife to the Keltistravi.
No! Victor, go stand in the corner.
We can set up a fund to support the wife and child.
Yeah, I think we should do something for the wife and child.
I think like maybe with the exception of Edmont, I think probably like 6 people just stood up and yelled no at Victor at the same time when he said that.
What?
Of course, it's even allowed to have opinions.
Edmont, what? Back me up here.
Okay.
I can't. That's like like usually I'm the bastard, but holy shit, guy.
You were the one. Didn't we pitch that the Keltistravi were strong men that could take care of the woman? Here's a woman that needs taken care of with a child.
Victor, I told you to go stand in the corner. I'm not. Evie no longer acknowledges anything Victor has to say for the rest of this conversation. How much money do we want to give this woman?
So the expectation here during the trial is that also, like, we will find that the woman was not guilty in any of that, and because her husband had to leave the village, she will be provided for.
Okay.
So how much do we want to give her? We could like make a show of like we're gonna give her like 50
think-
gold would be like an extravagant lifestyle for
50
many
gold is
years, right?
insane. I was going to say 5 or 10. And that's like, you know, for her and the child over a significant period of time.
Okay, because it would,
Like, I would say, like, an incremental payment, like, give her some of, you know. But
How much?
is that 100 silver?
Burkhardt, I have a question. How much does a peasant live on in a year, roughly?
That information is actually in the player's handbook.
It's a lifestyle. I know, but like,
it's
so
on
I guess
the
the better
lifestyle
question
part.
is like, what level of? A better question then would be, what is the lifestyle of a peasant in our village?
Whatever the lowest thing on that chart is, I would say. That sounds appropriate. Keeping in mind that you also have a middle class of like skilled tradesmen in your village as well.
Right. Because like, you know, it's like wretched is like free, and then you have squalid is 1 silver piece a day. Poor is 2 silver pieces a day. So I would
Anywhere on the spectrum between squalid and poor sounds appropriate for
pieces a
peasants
day?
around here.
for what? So that's 360. So that's 3 gold, three and a half gold a year. So you want to give, so we could pay for her 10 gold would be,
Like 2 years.
that'd be 2.5 years. And then, but she would go through it pretty quickly.
Let's be honest, she'll probably be dead in 2.5 years.
I mean, by that time, you just hand her over to the Keltistravi, like Victor says.
Victor's not part of this conversation anymore.
Right, sorry.
Hey, well, listen, it's a solution.
So you're going to set aside some token amount of gold for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Actually,
we are
in charge of it.
Yeah.
This is the Duchess recognizing that there is an unborn child in the equation, and she understands, and she is going to see that that child is cared for. We're not taking away the child's father and leaving it with nothing.